everybody. Welcome to See You in Queens. And today's guest, we have senatorial candidate, Iggy Terranova. Iggy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So Iggy, can you explain to me, I've only met you maybe, I think it was like 3 or 4 months ago, right after you made your announcement. What position are you running for?
Well, thank you first for having me here. I appreciate the time. I'm running for state senator in the 12th district against Mike Gianaris.
The Amazon killer.
That's exactly who I'm running against, the Amazon
Wow,
killer.
okay, very exciting over here. Hopefully, what do you call it? You'll be slaying the Amazon Slayer.
That's my hope.
So I saw a video that actually Senator Gianaris on, I guess, in Albany, where he was praising you. You want to tell me about that moment?
Sure.
Okay.
So I was honored on the Senate floor in 2018 for my upcoming retirement from the Department of Sanitation. And of the multiple senators that got up and praised me, Senator Mike Gianaris was one of them that praised my undevoted, my devotion to the city of New York and how I was able to do what I do in the city of New York and how great of a person I am. He was one of them, yes.
Well, it's a nice plug to see. If anybody's interested in it, it's on YouTube. I would search for that.
Yes.
So what were you doing before you decided to run?
Well, I just retired from the New York City Department of Sanitation. I served 20 years for the city with that department, one of the greatest departments in the city of New York.
And where do you live?
I live in Astoria.
Wow, okay. And what was the process like? What made you wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm running for Senate?
Well, it's funny you say that. In my position, I was the citywide community affairs officer. I was in charge of community affairs for the city when it came to sanitation. And it was my job to deal with every single elected official in New York City, whether it was on the city level, the assembly, or the state. If you're a city official and you had a sanitation issue, you came to me to resolve it. And it was amazing how every time the official would call, and I'd look at them and I'd say, wow, you made it this far, you made it, to become an official. I know I can do that. This is something that, piqued my interest at that time. Then as the time was rolling down, I knew my retirement was coming up, and I was too young to just stay home and do nothing. And I was getting upset actually about the situation that was happening here in Queens. The Amazon deal. The way we're just going in the wrong direction in New York City. And the opportunity came up where now this election was coming up and Mike Gianaris was going to need to have a primary opponent, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity for me to get involved and to continue helping New York City.
Well, so we have a mutual friend who's actually a guest on the show, Justin Potter.
Yes.
Who started the Defeat Gianaris campaign. Was that one of the reasons you saw that, and maybe did that spark an interest in you when you saw that?
I quickly came across that. By the way, Justin is a great guy.
I know he recently endorsed you. He dropped out and he endorsed you.
He did just recently drop out and he endorsed me, and I thank him for that. But I'm not saying he's a great guy because of that, because he's a great guy. He really does care about the neighborhood, and it's good to have people like him that want to see Queens move forward and not backwards. But yes, when I saw that piqued my interest to know that was happening. So, when the light turns on, and that's what it was, it just got me excited about somebody that's been in office for 18 years, that's doing nothing but hurt us. And somebody like Justin who says, you know what, enough's enough, that inspired me too. Enough's enough. So I was happy to join that fight.
Well, so you want to talk about some of your platforms?
Sure. Well, unlike the senator that's sitting there that's a job killer, I intend to bring jobs to the neighborhoods. Matter of fact, I am talking to certain people now, to see what we can do in the near future to try to bring jobs into the area. So that's one of my platforms. I am going to go. I believe in bail reform. I just don't believe in how they did this. They took something that was completely on one side and they swung the pendulum so far to the left that it doesn't make sense.
Crime is up like crazy.
Crime is up, and everybody that's on that side keeps saying that there's no proof, but yet the NYPD police commissioner is there telling everybody that crime is up. Crime is up these last 2 months compared to last year's 2 months, the same period. Crime is up. Breaking into cars, car larceny is up almost 60%. Things are bad. So I need to sit down and really need to look at this law. We need to adjust it properly. Let's be serious. If someone gets in trouble for the first time because they happen to be caught with, I don't know, some weed, let's just say, nothing that they're not selling, it's just for themselves, does that person need to go to jail for the next 2-3 years waiting to see a judge? No, that makes no sense. There should be a speedy trial. You should be able to get into the judge and, do what you gotta do. But someone that's a repeat offender, you keep breaking into my car, you keep getting busted for this, you keep assaulting people, and that you just keep getting released minute after minute, that makes no sense. To me, why bother? We don't need a police department if you're just gonna let people go every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Also, the discovery part of the whole bail reform, where now if you call 911, within 15 days, the DA has gotta give the defense all of your information, your phone number, where you work, where you live, the whole 9 yards, so that now the defense has the ability to immediately come after you. In the past, they held it, I think, a little bit too long, where they would wait a couple of years and then hopefully there would be a plea bargain and your information never got sent out. I don't agree with that either. You shouldn't wait 3 years to get that information out. But it shouldn't be 15 days immediately to get that information out. Let's be smart about it. 30 days, 60 days. Let's look at it for real.
I heard in Brooklyn that like 15 or 20 of the DAs over there just quit.
Yes, you're right.
Because they're overwhelmed with paperwork. A lot of them are
Right.
working until midnight, and they just like something is 14 days and one thing is 15 days.
Right.
And they just can't handle all the paperwork.
No.
They just literally quit.
Matter of fact, Queens is having the same exact problem. And about a month ago, Manhattan and the Bronx already said they're gonna stop prosecuting certain cases because they don't have the manpower and the time to make it happen.
Wow.
Can I ask a question? Does the 15-day policy, that change, do you think that deters people from
Calling
reaching
them?
out?
Oh,
and-
100%.
Yeah,
Because you now have to be afraid of, calling, you didn't do it, you didn't see anything, you just happened to see, John Smith walking down the street. You don't know who that is, but you saw the situation, you called 911 because you're a good citizen,
yeah.
and now you're involved and they have all of your information. So that's gonna stop people from calling 911.
I'm 42. I probably called 911 on people maybe 7 or 8 times in my life. Knowing this law, I'm gonna stop doing that.
That's a problem. That's something that we really have to look at. You're literally gonna stop people from calling 911 now if they see a crime happening.
Wow. Another issue I see that I guess the current Senates, not just one Senate, but all of them right now, are doing is that they're attacking a lot of business owners and property owners and everyone is just we're a real estate company over here, and I keep on hearing all of our landlords and developers, whatever, they're like, we're moving out of New York, we're getting out, we're not gonna do anything in New York anymore. It's like tough. What's your
They're definitely making it really hard for businesses to thrive in New York City, especially here in Queens. The laws that they're passing, such as where they're making a 2-family or above rent stabilized, doesn't really make sense for the developer. At the same time, we gotta be smart and not hurt the tenants. It has to be fair across the board. You can't hurt the developers and the real estate people, and you can't hurt the tenants. But just to make it one swoop move where it's rent control for 2-family up, it doesn't work either. That has to be looked at. You can't drive businesses out of New York City just because you don't like the way things are happening. We can't develop as a city if you don't allow businesses to come into the city. The one thing I keep saying, for 2 years now, we've heard this great word, and we still hear it, we're progressive. Well, being progressive means you gotta push forward, allow people to do things, help people do things. You're not being progressive here.
They're being regressive.
Right,
Yeah.
100%. You're turning the time backwards. We shouldn't be doing that. So I need to fix that. I want to fix that. We need to look at it because again, it's very important that we're fair to everybody. We're fair to the tenants, we're fair to the landlords. Nobody needs to get hurt. We gotta be smart.
And so right now you're going out there collecting signatures?
Yes, we are in the process of petitions, which is a very hard situation for us right now, obviously because of the issue with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
We have been out there, my campaign manager and I, we've been, and our volunteers, we've been out there trying to do our best, but more and more people are staying away from touching the clipboards and communicating with us.
Wow.
There's a big fear, and now obviously the last couple of days it's gotten even worse. The governor banning 500 or more
Yeah.
people, events, and Madison Square Garden is shut down, sporting events are shut down, the mayor's doing, his part. So people they're holding back in terms of the old way of communicating, so that it's becoming really hard for us.
Wow. And when's your primary?
The primary is June 23rd.
And how many signatures do you need to have?
You need 1,000 signatures to get on the ballot.
Okay, but everybody always tries to get, obviously.
We need to try to get as many more we can. But it's so difficult because again, people look at you and they're like, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to touch it.
Wow, and then how many people do you predict will actually go to, put Corona aside, how many people do you think will actually come to vote for this?
The June 23rd
Yeah.
one? Well, hopefully by then, because we are 3 months out.
Yeah.
Hopefully by then things have calmed down.
Uh-huh.
The situation has gotten better. We've gotten a better handle on it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this does not deter them. So I'm hoping that the numbers do come out, but I don't have this confidence that a lot of people come out because they're still going to be scarred, we'll call it,
Yeah.
from this situation because, as we know, there's a special election coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and
Right.
Donovan Richards, and he's asking to postpone it now.
Correct. Donovan Richards has already asked, to postpone it.
Yesterday, Elizabeth Crowley, she has sent a message to everybody saying she's halting, putting all her campaigning on pause.
Right.
Yeah.
Every candidate that's out there now is suspending their petitions and not putting their staffers and other people in the line out there too. So that's happening. So this is a big deal.
Mhm.
This will cascade. This election will cascade to my election on June 23rd.
Mhm. I want to go back to Amazon. So I knew Mike Gianaris, Senator Gianaris. I've known him for 10 years now. I've always known him to be actually a good guy. And then it seemed like he flipped about a year and a half ago or so. Literally after the whole Amazon thing, it was literally all spurred because of AOC. And him and several other politicians just decided that she was the future of the party and going to dance to her drumbeat. If you notice, any town hall he does now, he doesn't really do that many, but anyone he does, it's usually only with her. So he kind of like piggybacks on her. My whole thing, I understand if you wanted to, he and several other people, maybe they weren't happy with the deal, and which I know is, to be perfectly honest, is BS. They were doing it just for political reasons, but he didn't really. I didn't feel like he and several other politicians didn't really fight for our community. What are the districts? Name the areas that you're. It's just
The
Long
12th
Island City.
district is Astoria, Long Island City, Sunnyside, Woodside, a piece of Ozone Park, a piece of Maspeth,
Wow.
a piece of Woodhaven, and a piece of Ridgewood.
Wow, it's a big.
It's a big district, yes.
Wow, that's a really big district.
Yes.
And it's mixed. So like Ozone Park and Ridgewood
Right.
and Maspeth, I would think they're more in center. Obviously, Long Island City is probably a little bit more progressive. Astoria, you have the Greeks and the Egyptians over there. A lot of them
Yes.
are probably mixed and probably in the middle, I would think. One thing that I think that, in my personal opinion, that the Senator Gianaris didn't do was he didn't even want to sit down or meet with people, and it kind of like killed it. How would you be more? What would be your, position in being more welcoming to companies?
Well, you're 100% right about how you just described the whole situation with Mike Gianaris and a good 2 years ago, how we completely switched. Now, I've known Mike for quite a long time also.
Yeah.
And he completely switched and he's jumped on the AOC bandwagon.
Yeah.
And he's completely forgotten the neighborhoods and the people that have helped him for 18 years. He's turned his back on them. Pretty much tells them that I don't need you anymore.
Mm.
That's what he does. But in terms of when it comes to like companies like Amazon, we got to do something here. Take the word Amazon out. It's not about Amazon. You can put the word, I don't know, bagel. Put the word apple in there. You know what I'm saying? Not the company, but just the fruit. But if they want to come do business here, we have to be smart about it. Yes, come do business with us. There should be incentives for a major corporation to come to New York City, to come to Queens.
GNRS is looking to eliminate those incentives now.
Right. The
Yeah.
funny part is he look at them, eliminate them, but yet the film industry that's big in New York City gets a $400 million tax break.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
Mm-hmm.
So should we cancel the film industry in New York City?
Absolutely not.
No, right. So yes, do we have to give a little bit to get? Because let's be serious. If Amazon had come to Queens, which is the one thing we all got to remember, they were coming to Queens because the bulk of companies don't come to the outer boroughs. They go to Manhattan. They never come to Queens. It's rare. So we were going to have us here in Queens taken care of. You would have had those 25,000 plus jobs at Amazon. You would have had union workers building the area. So we have union jobs now, protected. On top of that, because of the amount of people that were going to be working there, all the mom and pop businesses that would have opened up all in around the neighborhood, new restaurants, new coffee shops, businesses that are selling items, that would have opened up. They would have hired people to work into those stores. The money that would have just be flowing amazingly if all that would come into play. What I'm gonna do, and what I have done, because I'm already talking to people to see how we can better the situation. Any company and I invite any company to come into Queens. Queens is an amazing borough. We have amazing people here. We have the skill to bring your company forward. But if you're gonna come to Queens, we're gonna help you, but you're gonna work with us in Queens. You gotta hire from Queens. You gotta give people the opportunity to internship in your company or to be part of that company in whatever capacity we can find. Is every single job that is going to be offered a $150,000 pay or $200,000? No, that makes no sense. It's not going to work. But for someone that's making no money because they don't have a job and they can make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, that's a great deal. The kids of today that don't have anything out there, that are on the streets, instead of being on the streets, they're going to work. And instead of that, they have a career that they can look forward to. This is what we need. This is what we need for our community. So when I'm going to sit down with these companies, because I am inviting companies to come into Queens, they need to understand that I will help with them coming to Queens, but they have to have the community part of their company. That's very important. Just don't come to Queens and do nothing, which I'm not saying they will, but they have to be part of the neighborhood. They have to hire from the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. You know, just yesterday, news broke that Amazon bought the Lord and Taylor building. So they paid $1.15 billion for the Lord and Taylor building, which is on Fifth Avenue, and they'll probably have maybe a couple thousand people in that building. And those employees are the Lord and Taylor building's on Fifth Avenue and like 40th, I believe. So instead of shopping at local restaurants like Manducati's or She,
Right.
or shop at Madden over here down on Vernon Boulevard, they're going to be shopping on Fifth Avenue.
Correct.
And yeah, I think it's a big loss where people don't really see, and you know, GNRS and other people are like, oh, you see, they came, he's going to say, they're coming here, right? But he doesn't represent Manhattan.
No.
He represents Queens.
Correct.
And that's what we elected him. The people of Queens elected him.
Correct.
To represent and fight for Queens. And who's the happiest person right now? Is whoever the senator is who represents that district.
Correct.
Where Amazon is. So that senator is happy now, right? Because there's more jobs coming to their district.
But, you're 100% correct. he forgets who he's supposed to represent.
Mm.
He thinks he's this national figure.
Yeah, he was
because he's-
recently in Nevada with
Right.
Bernie Sanders, yeah.
I don't know how a New York State senator, why you should be in Nevada
Uh-huh.
for a presidential candidate makes no sense to me.
Uh-huh.
You belong in the district.
Yeah.
Unless you happen to be on vacation,
Uh-huh.
stay in the district and do your job here in the district. But, you know, another part of that is we have such a big problem that for years we've heard of congestion in Manhattan. If we keep putting businesses in the borough of Manhattan, more and more people are gonna just keep going into Manhattan.
Yeah.
We have open space here. We do have the ability to bring businesses here. Everybody doesn't have to travel continuously into Manhattan. You're spending money to do that. There's, not said that we shouldn't support everything, but you're spending time and money and energy to keep going into Manhattan. When, if you live here, you can commute 5 minutes away instead of 45 minutes away.
Mm.
So that's another part of it. Why do we have to keep going into Manhattan when we have the ability to make it happen here in Queens?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So the election is June
23rd.
23rd. So it's going to be, I believe, just like the DA's election, it was, I think it was 90,000 people who showed up. And Melinda Katz, who we supported, won by 55 people.
Right.
So I believe it's going to be a really tight race. It's going to be a race where I think it's won by maybe a couple thousand people.
Right.
Which is why it's important for every single person to go out and vote. And election is not in November anymore. Election is throughout the year, and people need to get out and vote. And I highly recommend people go out and vote for Iggy.
Thank you.
I think he'll make, as a Queens native, I've born and raised in Queens 42 years. I've never lived anywhere else outside of Queens my entire life. So I really happy that you're running. I feel you would make a real difference. Any last words you want to say?
Yes. Thank you. First off, again, I want to thank you. I really appreciate the time to do this with you guys today. It's important to remember something. I am not an elected official. I'm a regular guy. I spent 20 years with the New York City Department of Sanitation. Again, one of the best departments in the city of New York. Not that any other department is not great. I love them all.
New York's strongest.
New York's strongest. The men and women of that department are great. I helped clean up New York City. I picked up the garbage. I swept the streets. I know what it means to be somebody that needs to get up every morning, get out there and work. And that's what I want to bring to Albany. When people get to Albany, they forget what they're supposed to do. They become politicians. I don't want to be a politician. I want to be an elected official. The last thing that I want to say on top of that is that I'm not going to Albany by myself. Queens is coming with me to Albany. I will be there, but I speak for the residents of Queens.
Well,
Where can we find more information and spread it online in this state that we're in?
Thank you very much. You can go to www.iggyterranova.com. All our information is on that. You also can go to our Facebook page, Iggy for Senate, and we're on Twitter, at Iggy Terranova.
And can signatures be collected digitally?
No,
There have to be.
they have to be
Wow.
physical.
they need to change that law
So
now.
if
I can't believe that.
I cannot, right, that would make so much sense if you could do that digitally. Then we wouldn't have to worry about anything,
Yeah,
right? This would solve the corona issue.
100%.
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
mean, maybe that's in the works
They
because
should do that.
that should already be in place in 2020. Okay. Well, we'll make sure we link all those on these show notes.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
And I'm sure you're raising money, so if anybody wants to chip in and donate some money, $1, $5, $20, whatever, please go to Iggy's website and make a donation.
Please, thank you, that would be great.
So thank you again, and thank you for our guest Iggy today, and see you in Queens.